can't read it. So, good evening. It's afternoon here in on the Big Island, and I want to just welcome you to Mountain Stream, and whoever you are. I can't see you, but I know you're out there. I'd like you just to bring your attention, first of all, just to your body, to this vehicle that you inhabit and live with, and I was going to say die with, but that's maybe too much to say. And to just to recognize that as you put your attention in your body, this is a precious truth that the mind is very fickle, and the body is a constant that you can, in a sense, turn your attention towards and relax into. We'll just begin this practice as a means of collecting ourselves. And whether it's the breath or just the body, or somehow relaxing the mind. And I love this ideas of foreground and background. And just all the minutia is in the foreground. And the background is this wide open space, holds all things, but is not of them. And so you can choose somewhere between that. And sometimes it's noticeable that in the center of that is your heart. And in essence, the heart knows. And it is that is, in a sense, kind of beyond the fickleness of the mind, just jumping from object to object. And it's kind of monkey mind. And we can begin that process, of bringing full attention. And so whether if you're just kind of new to this, to kind of feel the breath in its in and out or rising and falling, and recognizing that it'll keep running away. And our practice is our capacity to kind of stay, not get lost, but stay. Ultimately, there is nobody to be, nothing to do, nowhere to go, and even nothing particularly to experience, but just to stay. Your mind is very fickle. It chases the smallest shadow to the biggest event. And our practice is to allow that to happen in the foreground, but to hold the nature of the background. It's kind of like a wide angle lens. So it holds things, but is not caught up in them. And that's part of the secret of practice, is not to get caught up in it, but to create some space between the minutia and the thoughts and different body sensations and feelings with the sense doors, and just let that all be on some level. if you find yourself wandering off with the thinking mind and stories from maybe the past or anticipations of the future, see if you can't just rest in this open space. There's really no inside or outside. There is just this capacity to recognize the preciousness of just here. And I emphasize that word, just here. Again, if you catch yourself wandering off, then see if you can't just let go, start again, over and over, so that more is the emphasis on just here. Enough, good enough. Again, if you find yourself wandering off, just turn back. Turn back to this place that you sit and release the future, release the past, and know that the most healing place you can be is here. Some days the mind is restless. It's okay. Some days it's calm, like a great wide ocean. However it may be, is what you have right now to practice with. So you can hold the background, or you can be involved in the foreground, and that particularly where this ability to collect oneself, to use gentle concentration. Oh, I'm here. So the foreground is always busy changing. And the background is always steady holding. And in the center is the heart, caring about what it is, who it is, how it is. If you find the mind drifting off, then just simply start again. Bring the attention back to the body, to the breath. No place to go, nobody to be. Everything in this moment is exactly the way it should be. Finding this simple place to rest your mind, your heart, and rest in the great wonder of just being here. So we'll take about a 5-minute stretch break here, and then we'll see what happens. Don't know.
I'll turn the audio off.
Let's just turn off the.
Oh, you got the camera, so you're seeing it.
Nancy Perkins. Oh, she's so sweet. good evening or good afternoon. Hopefully you hear me. You don't? Tough. All right, good. I like thumbs up. So this afternoon, this evening, I thought about what should I do. This is I'm here in Hawaii on my way to Thailand in a day or so, and I guess there are these very basic truths. You know, one thing is this incredible word anicca, impermanence, and pretty much impermanence is in some ways in Buddhism it is the crux of all things. I'm sorry that suffering is also involved in this, but um, we actually begin to know that if we really could see, we would see that the only stability is the movement itself, which is kind of fascinating and also can be very disruptive in the sense that our minds are kind of set to, and our vision and sound is to fixate on things, to hold them as they are, But that's not actually the truth. The truth is this is just a flux, something that is constantly changing. And whether we see it in the subtlety or we see it in its actuality, that's just the way things are, And we think, oh, well, how am I going to learn from that? And I have this, one of my favorite quotes is, wisdom tells me I'm nothing, and love tells me I'm everything. And somewhere between the two, my life flows. That's from Srinagar Nisargadatta. He was the Bidiwala of Bombay, or Mumbai now. And it's true. Wisdom tells me I'm nothing. And love tells me everything. Paradox, of course, but that's how we deal with all this stuff. It's just that if we actually look at things, well, I don't care what it is, it may seem solid, but if it's part of our world, it is based on this impermanence. And that impermanence can either be scary or complicated in some ways, but ultimately it's just the truth of how things are. And it's interesting how our minds work. What our minds are doing all the time is they see things and they fixate on it and they make it solid. And that's okay. It's just what it does, And but it's not the truth. It's just appearance. And we're very sucked up in appearance. So in some ways, to start to get that there is nothing is solid, it's all in flux. And, one of the things they say is one of the things that's kind of solid is called belief systems, and unfortunately, and we fall for that. And we think we can implant that on other things. And the truth is, no. If it's physical, it is of the nature to change. And it's of the nature to change, then it really has no stability. Because it has no stability, there's this word dukkha, which translates as suffering. I know no one likes this word, but it is also something that occurs due to causes and conditions. And it is based on the fact that, first of all, we believe in the solidity of things. And we also are caught in the fact that the phenomena of change is happening so quickly. It's so fast. We cannot in any way keep up with this. So we kind of go to it on some level. And we see that wherever there is clinging or attachment, what is the simple results of that is we suffer. It's not, this isn't complicated, but seeing it is complicated because we're so conditioned to see what our world is, and we, in a sense, kind of solidify it for our own purposes. And that's not the truth, but it's what we do with it. And so we begin to realize that no, the world is based on this impermanence, and that impermanence has a very simple nature. And that nature is actually suffering. And I know people don't like to hear that, particularly in the Western world, but it's just the truth of things, And we have to, in some sense, we have to, as we study impermanence and how change is the backbone of all the systems themselves, particularly physical systems and intellectual systems, there is this very truth that when that's there, then there is this clinging or craving or attachment to sometimes to things that aren't true, are just part of a flux. The third part of this is a little more complex, and it is based on the fact that when there's flux, when there's attachment to any of the systems, there is suffering. There's also that there is, we think of it all as some, what is it, conspiracy for the self, And the truth is, we go around, I'd like the word selfing. We go around selfing, and I am, and in some ways, what Buddhism is trying to, in a sense, kind of give you a picture into, is the phenomena that, first of all, whatever arises must pass away. And the second thing, if there's any clinging, there's problems. And that there is nobody that actually is doing this. So you may think that you have all this control, and you have a little, but ultimately you don't. And that you begin to see that, oh, when I learn to relax and see that self is manufactured, it's actually due to causes and conditions. And who I am, in many ways, can become problematic, or it can become that allows us to free ourselves. And I'm here because I believe we can free ourselves. It's not that, this is not a given. This is a process. And pretty much all of these are processes, whether it's suffering, whether it's the impermanence nature of everything, and that we create and solidify this view of who we think we are, self, And this particular view of things is that the self is not something that we can't hang our hats on it. It's something that, again, is impermanent. It's constantly changing, and is due to causes and conditions. And we walk around totally locked sometimes into the identity of who we think we are. And from this point of view, it's a misnomer. We're actually much more than what it appears. So in some ways, you have to turn the mind around because it is worked so hard to create this identity and this, I am this or I am that or whatever. It, 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 it doesn't matter to me. I just know that when you grasp it and you uh, create a solid thing out of it, that you will be disappointed. I guarantee you that, because it is not something that uh, it can't solve, you know. And if you can learn in some ways to see it more as instead of a thing, as a process, you know. I remember I grew up very early in El Salvador and Guatemala, and Pauline, my nursemaid or whatever, you know, they looked at things different. And what was really phenomenal was that when you, in their language, in Kichikali, um, we talk about a ball, and we actually identify it as a solid thing. But they don't look at it that way. They look at it as a verb, rolling. So the ball rolls. So suddenly rolling becomes uh, that is known, which is something that is constantly in flux. We create, and particularly for children, we create this solid identity that we walk around thinking somehow, it is a thing instead of a process. And it really, so much of this in Buddhism is the switching from object to process. And if we begin to kind of recognize it, all of this is just process, you know? And when we try to hold on to it or make it into something, you will suffer, you know? And if you get unhappy enough with that, maybe you'll turn towards this, but maybe not. You know, our culture does not recognize that. We are so identified with somehow that objects will bring us freedom instead of freeing up objects as a process brings freedom. And they're really two different things. And I am so convinced that part of the cultural problem is that piece of identity of self instead of process, you know. And but this is not a popular belief system, because you know, you spend all this time to get your PhD or whatever, and you think, well, I am something, and you go around being something, and yet in many ways it's not necessarily satisfying, and you will because of that identity, no matter what it is or where it is on the scale of things, you will suffer, you know, and sometimes quite radically, um, because we cling so much to who we think we are and not what it is that's appearing and disappearing. And the more you begin to learn that, then first of all, there's tremendous amount of space, and that space is available. And it doesn't have to be a thing. You know, it doesn't have to be something solid. And this is particularly this third, what they call, the three characteristics. This third one of you could say it's, sometimes it's referred to as no self, but, that's a little pedantic. I think it's better to just say that it's not something you can hang your hat on. And we do hang our hats on. Oh, I am this, I am that. You are this, you are that. And for conventional purposes, that does work, but ultimately it does not work, you know. And that, because at least what I believe is everybody wants to be free, you know. that deep down, you're tired of the identity and having to be something, and then uh, you know, people put it on you and you project it back, and it ultimately can turn on you. And where if you're just looking at as this impermanent process, and name and form are conventional ways, but it's not ultimate. Ultimate, it's just simply we are this um, passing creature that is not that. We are impermanence. We are not something, but we are, and I can use this, the selfless nature of things. It's just simply rolling along, and we give up on some identity. Therefore, if there's no identity, there's nothing to hang your hat on, and then there's lots of possibilities. But if you make a solid thing and hang your hat on it, then it may be something you don't really want, but you have been conditioned to be that. You know? So another piece I wanted to talk about, I said there's kind of, to me, there's the foreground, which is all the complexity of, these, I will use it, six senses. There's the five senses and the mind. And it simply is constantly, um, boy, it never rests. Just keeps on chugging on, you know? And, but behind it is this uh, great, what is it? Great heart that holds both the absolute and the relative. And the relative, we know it really well. And that's name and form, and who you think you are and who you think they are, and how's this supposed to happen or not happen. And we begin to be disillusioned by that and start looking. It's really where the seeker begins his journey towards this. Uh, maybe it's just ultimate. Yeah, I would say freedom on one side, but just non-identity. You're not creating something to hang your hat on. You're just simply watching the flow of things, and recognize that when you're doing that, happiness is available to you. You don't have to, suffer. You can actually be free of the complexities. You are more than what you think. I mean, we think that's who we are. And what I'm saying is, no, we're so much more than what we think. And in some ways, our ability to pull back and start recognizing who we are in the sense of it may be the wide angle, because the minutia is like, oh, it's endless. And it can get very confusing. But it's also true that when we kind of pull back and look at from the absolute or the pure awareness point of view, um, we are these grand creatures walking around that are really something phenomenally special. And yet, this is the paradox. The specialness of it is true and not true. And you have to find out. In that way, it's kind of this dance between this being this phenomenal creature in a complex world and nobody. So you will find, and sometimes you have to be more nobody, and other times you have to be the relative truth of who you are, and you dance. You dance between these two, you know, and ultimately um, we're more destined by the nature of your heart than your consciousness or your awareness, you know. And so you're learning to actually love where you are, who you are, and how you relate. So yes, it's a complex kind of situation, but it's also simple. You know, it's complex because we have made it complex. You know, with identity, with I am this, I am that, and we're more than that. You know, we are this living heart that uh, ultimately, I really believe this. I travel the world. I always travel the world. I have since I was little. And I find such heart in every place I go. This is a interesting phenomena. But the heart is also something that it's like to me, there's kind of the minutia of all the stuff going on, which is fine. There's also the total background where there is this wide angle lens that holds everything and is free of all the minutia and all the identity and all the um, goings on. And but then there is this place in the center of things. And to me, that place in the center uh, is the heart. And it actually cares about everything. And yet is not caught by it. And so I encourage you in your own wanderings to find your heart in the center of all this. I know that sometimes uh, we have to suffer just simply because of identity. And it's neither good nor bad, but it can be a teacher and teach you to release what you thought may be yours or some identity or something you owned or something you wanted, and that suffering could just be it could sort of be put aside or whatever, but it's actually important because it is the thing that allows the heart to open. The birds here are phenomenal. um, and I'm so happy to, you know, to be participants in your world today. Um, so wisdom tells me I'm nothing. Love tells me I'm everything. And somewhere between the two, my life flows. So if you, I'm going to try this. I don't know who, I was going to try some questions. I'm not promising any answers, but at least questions. And let's see what happens.
Okay, so in the hall, if you want to ask a question, raise your hand and I'll bring you the microphone. And any of the Zoomers, do you have questions? Do you want to start off? I don't see any little yellow things, but put up your indication if you do, and unmute yourself. And we'll start. Anybody in the hall would like to make a comment or have a question? No? Zoom doesn't have to be a question, could be a comment. What about people on Zoom? Carol, I see your hand there. Carol F?
Yeah.
If you unmute yourself.
Hi, John.
Hi, Carol.
I want to get speaker view here. There you are. Hi, John. I felt it was today a little untethered. Let's say I had booked a swim in the morning, but I didn't really feel like swimming. So the self around swimming, I kind of let it go. I said, okay, I don't have to do anything that I, follow. I don't have to follow it because I made this I booked the swim and I have the swimming self and today's the day and do I have to? And I said, no, I don't have to. And then for the next few hours though, I felt untethered. I didn't know, I wasn't in any particular self. So I had let that strong self, the swimming self, go, and nothing came in. I mean, nothing came in to take its place really for several hours. It was a beautiful place to be. It felt I was very relaxed and I felt very empty. But I wondered, I was unsettled.
Untethered. Yes.
Untethered. So, what do you think about letting a self go like that? Letting, oh well, you don't have, to be so solid in it.
I know. One of the difficulties with that is that you made a deal. You were going to go and
Yes.
you had a lane or whatever. And so I'll make that comment. And on the other side of that, again, paradoxical, is this wonderful truth that, oh, I don't have to do what I planned. And because I'm not doing what I planned, there's this like kind of freedom that exists there. And that's okay. That's good. Actually, I like that. But I also am aware that you made a deal. I'm going to go and use the lane. And sometimes nobody's in the lane after that could have been there. And so this is really kind of paradoxical. But I think you're holding both pieces. One is the responsibility of making the deal, and the other one is, oh, when I don't have responsibility and I'm free, then it is a marvelous place to be. So that's all I can say about that. And I love the fact that you could find the peace and the ease that is available to you at that time. So good.
And that you used the word freedom. It really was a sense of freedom, and I think I should relish it in that way. The word freedom. You don't get much of it, from freedom from self, from selfing.
True, including responsibilities. But I don't know more than that.
No, thank you, John. Nice to see you.
Thank you, Carol.
Any comments in the hall or questions? What about the Zoomers? I'm not seeing anything, so last opportunity. Douglas, okay, well, if you'd say your name just so they know who you are.
Hi, this is Douglas. Hey, John.
Hey, Douglas.
You look so relaxed there in Hawaii. It's
Yes.
like your skin is softened or something,
My brain has softened.
So yeah, I was following along with your talk and how, all this relative world is going on around us. And, at the center of it all is the heart. And that in the heart, there's caring. And when I tune into my heart caring, um, it so easily kind of turns into caring about something.
Mm.
And then I'm focused back onto the solidity of some form, of caring about some form. And so I'm trying to, find a way or would like some information about caring that isn't related or confined by caring for something.
Well, first, they're in the first stage of it. It has to be something. I mean, I wish it was just nothing, but it's usually something. And when something is there in the caring, then we have a choice here. You know, um, we can either be caught by it or not. And I would hope and that the willingness not to get caught and to realize that the heart uh, uh, simply is there. And sometimes in caring, it becomes an object. And it also doesn't have to be an object, you know. It can just be a good heart. It holds whatever is available to it at this particular time. And that's, I don't know, I like that, you know. But I understand that traditionally it is an object that somehow stimulates. And we're human beings, so we live in a relative world. And I think that uh, caring for something in the relative world uh, is a great, to others, it's a great gift, you know. And at the same time, it also can be a kind of a trap, you know. So I'm not answering you. Not, I can't, but I can talk about it, but I can't answer you. So, but it's good, Douglas. It's good I don't see you, but I know you're there. I hear you. And maybe I'm in the wrong page here. No, maybe I'm in no page. Wait.
Okay, we have a Zoomer. I'm sorry, I can't read it. Renee and Reed. Okay,
Oh.
go ahead.
We're not speaking as one, but
Okay, that's fine too.
Thank you, John. Good to see you again.
Two.
So I'm thinking about like my role in my life as a friend and a partner, roles that where I've made commitments and agreements, and this notion that it's all in flux, who we are, is really taking that in at a deeper level helps me see that these roles I've taken on really every day or, in every moment, I'm choosing again to be that friend, to be that partner, and that it's really out of choice. And so it doesn't mean that, oh, I'm fickle and I'm just going to change. I don't have to be this. I don't have to, it really introduces a nice level of just choice to continue being, responsible to those agreements and that it's fresh.
Great.
It's So I was an insight I had while you were talking about that, because I was wondering about, being committed to those roles too.
Well, we make commitments, and they are kind of our steadfast place that we can work out of. And yet they are also um, uh, changing all the time with our relationships.
Mm.
And so in that way, on one side, they're changing all the time. And the other one, we made an agreement to stay on this particular uh, ship or airplane or something. And we're gonna do that, you know? And so the bigger sense of it is that I'm staying on that ship, and certainly relationships, marriages, all those things are agreements. And I remember back in the what was that early 70s or what or 60s doing est and everything about commitment and staying on track. And so there's a piece of that I think is very important, you know. And at the same time, this is all flux. This is all and you're growing and changing with every relationship.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's tricky, but and I'm going to go back to what I was saying in the middle of things is love, and maybe that's really what counts. And because we love, we can stay with those agreements, and we can live in the flux or the change of who and how we are to those agreements.
Yeah. Yes, thank you. And that's, yeah. And then we remain flexible,
Yes,
and we grow together
correct.
and give each other the freedom
Great.
to grow. Yeah. Thank you.
You're very welcome. That's good stuff.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, Arthur. We have one question. Do we have time for one more question?
yes, we do. And then
Okay.
please.
And then that's it. Okay.
You spoke quite a bit about suffering, and it made me think that suffering itself is in flux and a process itself. And I guess my question about that is, how does one turn that suffering into nourishment for oneself?
Thank you for that question. I think when we turn to the suffering and see its nature, that it is actually a transformative experience. And so it's in that case, the suffering then changes into inspiration for a good heart. And but we have to, in the sense, fully embrace it for what it is. And it's also impermanent. So the suffering arises due to the causes and conditions, and it changes. And it has hopefully taught us what we need to learn. That help?
Yes, thank you.
You're very welcome. So let's just take a moment here. I'm thinking, oh, I'm here for one more day, and then I'm off to Honolulu, Tokyo, Bangkok, God knows where. But my life has always been just keep on keeping on, and I love that. It's and I really do trust people. I know that sometimes, I mean, when I was young, I got caught in different stupid things and suffered for those circumstances. But most of the time, people are so good, and I I live in this complex when I'm in Thailand of there isn't a foreigner, I always say, in a mile and a half in any direction from me. And these are really poor, these are poor Thais, not the billionaires or whatever. And they're really, in a sense, thanks to Buddhism, they have incredible integrity about who they are and how they are. And I learned so much from that alone, and I'm saying it's also here. And I can afford it there. This is a pretty wild place, and but so I'm really happy to be with you, however that is, and I do honor so much relationship that is based on goodness. It isn't on anger or fear, but it's just as I travel and I go, good hearts. We are in the midst of good hearts, and I just want to encourage you to be fearless and just look for that good heart in others. It's there. Sometimes it's covered from harm or fear or anger. It's there. So just take a moment, and we're going to do a little bit of guided metta. So first, if there is any way that I may have harmed myself, knowingly or unknowingly, I extend forgiveness to myself. We are complicated. If there is anyone who has harmed me, knowingly or unknowingly, I openly extend forgiveness. And I try to work with a good heart so that I can respond to the confusion, the suffering, the greediness, the anger, the fear of the world, so that we can all ultimately live in peace. I love these two words, peace and ease. But the peace has to come first, because we have a tendency to want things to be our way. And sometimes it doesn't work, We have to take more into account. So may beings everywhere, known to us and unknown to us, cultivate this truth of loving kindness, of peace and ease, of compassion. State of a good heart, and this truth of equanimity as the balance, so that we may walk in the world with peace and love. May all beings everywhere be happy. Stay out of trouble. Thank you.
Safe trip, John.
Thank you, John.
Thank you,
Stay
John.
safe.
Thank you,
Thank
John.
you.
Love your new book. It was a joy to read.
Oh, lots of love to you, John.
Happy
Safe
travels.
travels.
I hope you enjoy your full moon.
I think you'll be seeing the full moon from the air.
Absolutely. The full moon will be
You'll be flying.
flying into it, out of it, somewhere around it. Thank you all.
Bye.
Thank you.
Bye, John.
Bye.
Nice to be with
Lots of
everybody.
love.
Good night,
Bye, John.
Well,
Betrayals.
We
Thank
miss you.
Aloha, you guys.
Aloha. Katrinka. Hi, Katrinka.
Trinka.
Goodbye, dear John. Bon voyage.
Give him a wave.
Stay out of trouble. Trouble is middle name.
I try to stay out of trouble, but sometimes.
You've landed in a lot of trouble in the stories that you tell. It's delightful. I mean, I'm sorry, but